Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of This Week in Philadelphia Sports, where, you might have guessed it, we go over everything that happened this week in Philadelphia sports again. If you're new to this channel, guys, and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, it will mean the absolute world to me if you could, should you enjoy this sort of content. And don't forget to leave your comments below with all of your opinions on today's topic. But hang on, before we get started, wait, Liam, you're wearing something different. Where's one of those 3 red hoodies that you see when you rotate every week? Well, as it just so happens, gentle viewer, I'm wearing Philly Sports Network merchandise. Now, these have been on sale for a while. Bit of a problem. A, I don't really promote it because I feel bad. And B, I didn't order one myself because I was just broke for a very long time. But I've had a few people asking about where they can cop. There is a link down in the description below should you want one. This hoodie in particular, I spent ages on designing. It's essentially a flight tag where every little box has a little reference to Philadelphia sports. So for instance here, that is Super Bowl 52 and the score. You've got the date of the Super Bowl, you've got flyers and sixes and my name, and a host of other good things. But wait, that's not all. If you're a fan of PSN season, you can get yourself a nice PSN season long sleeve. Oh, and it's got that on the front as well, so that's cool. But yeah, links down in the description if you want to cop anything. If not, don't worry, but it's just a bit of a filthy hoodie. Not in that way, it is a very clean hoodie, washed 3 times. But I'm a massive fan of the design, like I love it. So if you want to represent Philly Sports Network, you're gonna look good doing it. You're gonna look good doing it. Unless you don't like the design, in which case you will feel like you don't look good. Get on a conveyor belt with all the luggage. Free flights. So, oh, where's he going? The next generation of Philadelphia? Get him on. Get him on. But we are going to start things off with, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles. They are coming out of their mandatory minicamp program. They're coming out of OTAs. And now the long breath between now and training camp has officially inhaled. That is a very and there's a lot of takeaways, many of which are broken down on the podcast and at our website, but they range from Carson Wentz just coming back for revenge to the sudden outbreaks of Dallas Goedert and JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Just add an extra bit of spice going into training camp and beyond. But the main thing to take away from mandatory minicamp this week was that Malcolm Jenkins showed up, and I don't think many people expected him to. The 31-year-old safety was reportedly holding out for more money, and upon returning to the NovaCare complex, opted not to take an $80,000 fine. He spoke to reporters saying he's believed he's outplayed his current contract, and I don't see who can blame him. He's missed just 1.6% of snaps in 4 years. He's been one of the most versatile defenders in the league, and his statistics really do speak for themselves, especially considering he was very much the glue that held the secondary together last year. But I use this analogy in the Outside Insider podcast that Jenkins returning for minicamp was the most mature thing he could have possibly done. It's sort of like if you're in a relationship or a marriage and you have a bit of an argument, a bit of a bicker, and you know clearly you're in the right, but a part of you, instead of arguing it and hammering it into the ground, just go, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm not going to let it get in the way of our marriage, of our child, of that lovely dinner that I have prepared. I'm not having that go to. I mean, there is no one that makes microwave ready meals like me. That's not going to waste. So, to cut your nose and spite your face, you just say, do you know what? This is it. You're absolutely right. Let's move on with life. And Jenkins fully knows that in a week's time, that wife or husband, or whoever it may be, will come back to him with a bouquet of flowers, a box of chocolates, and an apology for overreacting. And that is kind of what we've got going on here. Jenkins knows he's outplayed his deal, certainly knows he deserves a bump in guaranteed money. The question is, when's it coming? The Eagles still surprisingly have $24 million left in cap space after the Carson Wentz extension. Now, we don't know what their aim with that is. Are they going to roll it over into next year? A year where, as of right now, they're $41 million over the estimated cap total, which is bad. Or will they give Jenkins the bump he so desires? Only time will tell, but it was a very, very mature thing that Malcolm Jenkins did. He knows his team need him. He knows that young secondary and a very light safety position needs him there. So he shows up, gets the job done. I don't think anyone can complain at that. That's even more reason to pay the guy. The ultimate king that we stand, Malcolm Jenkins. You can't ask for a better leader than that. But there was one thing about mandatory minicamps that has gone swiftly under the radar. And I mean, not even a blip. Like, either you've got a faulty radar. Jalen Mills was the only player to not really do anything. Whether it was individual rehab drill or team drills, whatever. The Green Goblin just wasn't there. He's still rehabbing a mysterious foot injury that of course ended his year. He was then seen at Sixers games wearing boots. I don't mean like Old Town Road boots, I mean like genuine walking boots. And now that this has hampered him all through OTAs, all through mandatory minicamp, we know for a fact that this cornerback competition is going to be stiff. Jalen Mills is in the last year of his contract. He has hardly been the most consistent of starting cornerbacks. Is there a chance that Avonte Maddox or Rasul Douglas or Sidney Jones can pip him to that CB2 spot? As of right now, calm down a bit. Alright, hold up. It's probably a bit premature, but in the long term, in that bigger picture, I think it's possible. Eagles aren't contractually obliged to Mills in the way they are Maddox and Douglas and Jones. And if you look at the secondary picture, both Darby and Mills, their contracts expire at the end of 2019, and if there's already lingering doubts that Jalen Mills isn't coming back, for context, they've already brought back Isaac Seumalo and Carson Wentz from that draft class, so we don't know. Surely if Mills was playing to an exceptional level, he would have been rewarded. The fact is he isn't. Now, if you believe the higher upside is with Avonte Maddox, who has been balling out this minicamp, is with Sidney Jones, who despite injury has been balling out this minicamp, then maybe, just maybe, you don't want them rotting on the bench for a year. You've got a chance to develop some really elite cornerbacks there, and if you let them just sit on the bench again until such a time as injury perudes them onto the field, you're stagnating their growth for a player that may not even be on the team in 2020. Now again, this is a bit premature, but I think there's a chance that Jalen Mills starts this season either on IR or the PUP list. Now I call it PUP because, you know, pup, puppies, PUP, puppity-doo, however you want to look at it. Jalen Mills may not start on a 53-man roster. He won't be cut, but I think the Eagles could just sit him to one side, stash him away for a bit and see what they've got, because that secondary, there is way too many chefs in the kitchen. Food is spilling everywhere, you've got lasagna on the walls, and at this point, you need the best. You're evacuating, you're Gordon Ramsay, you're coming in, getting everybody out, and the guys that are left have got to be the best. And I think that Maddox, Jones especially, are two guys that could really challenge for that CB2 role opposite Ronald Darby, given that their development within the team at this point has to be a higher priority. And really quickly, after the contract extension of Carson Wentz, we were assuming that we would hear soon from Dallas and the LA Rams. Now, Dallas are apparently wanting to pay Dak Prescott $34 million a year, and it's just great. There's not even tea in this mug, but we're just gonna sip that tea for the... I haven't got any drink. Meanwhile, the Rams say that it's a case of when and not if for Jared Goff's contract extension, which, if I am looking at this objectively, that was what the last girl I was seeing said about getting together, and that didn't end well. So don't listen to them, Jared. Just you focus on doing you, alright? But on to the Philadelphia Phillies, and boy, do we have some tea to spill. I wish I did. Again, cup's empty. Now, interestingly, the Phillies are still 6-4 in their last 10 games, and they're still top of the... Hang on. What? What do you mean they're not top? They're not top of the NL East. They're not top. The Phillies are not top of the NL East. Okay, alright, okay, I can live it. So, what happened? Okay, so I've just been informed they jumped to a 7-2 lead against the Braves, had a 4-run lead in the 8th inning, and lost. So that's not good. They're now 2.5 games back behind the Atlanta Braves, and it's just a little bit pressing now. This has to fall on Gabe Kapler to do something. There's got to be some strings pulled. Sure, getting Jay Bruce was great, but the glaring elephant in the room that is now getting its trunk and just destroying everything in its path, there's got to be bullpen help. I think they're just being battered and bruised and ruined over and over. And there are flashes of talent, there are flashes of stability, and then they just get wiped away by an almighty choke job. So that's less than great, but hey, Bryce Harper still has a nice haircut, so we're all good. On to the Flyers, and today, officially as of 12 p.m, which it's now 6 p.m. English time, which means it was an hour ago, have waived Andrew McDonald with the intent to buy out his contract. So that, for Flyers fans, is a massive weight on the back, lifted up, and just cast aside. Like, it has been a really tough few years for Flyers fans. They paid him like a top 4 defenseman, something that he never really amounted to in Philadelphia, despite being a leader in the locker room, despite being a teammate that was beloved by everyone else there. He obviously earned the A. I feel like assistant captain is like assistant to the regional manager, isn't it? It's, you know, you are the Dwight Schrute of the team. Dwight Schrute, who was apparently overpaid for 4 years. The McDonald has been waived. That is a big bonus for the Flyers. A lot of people wondering what the future holds for this team. That goes a long way in freeing up some cap space and letting them just manoeuvre some more new veteran savvy level things. We're not focusing on prospects anymore. We are all in on the veteran stuff. I don't know what this is, but we're just going to go, I guess, out of the shot. They also traded for a player called Matt Niskanen. And on paper, I think the Flyers have won the trade. They give up Radko Gudas, which sucks because he was the ultimate dad on the team. But this is a veteran presence which they've coveted for quite some time that is going to help them on the back end. He's won multiple Stanley Cups. And it just, considering how young that defensive core is, I think it helps them a lot. It adds a level of production that just wasn't there before. He averaged over 31 points per season, whereas Gudas averaged 18. So the parity there is night and day. Great move for the Flyers. Can't complain. Hey, there was no tumbleweed this week. The Flyers had news. The Flyers had news. They bloody did it. Go on. Now, as for the Philadelphia Union, who just triumphed over the New York Red Bulls last week, thanks to the help of Captain Cravon, went in to the US Open Cup, a trophy which they seemingly dominate every year. They get right to the final step, the final, the semi-final, and then it all kind of fades away. Well, this year, don't worry, because they're out in the 4th round. They are out in the 4th round. They lost to DC. It went to extra time, and it was Wayne Rooney, who is 96 years old at this point, scoring a penalty in the 120th minute. That's a dagger. That is an absolute dagger McDagger in the back. Awful. Absolutely awful. So that sucked. And finally, the Philadelphia 76ers, who have done nothing this week, I might add. But the LA Lakers, of course, traded for Anthony Davis, which now gives the Lakers a core of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kyle Kuzma, a tube of toothpaste, and a loaf of bread, from what I understand. Now, does this make LA slightly more appealing to Jimmy Butler? That is the immediate knock-on effect, the immediate butterfly effect. It might do. Butler has declined his option, which, shock, I think we all knew he was going to do that. He wants a max deal. The Sixers may well be his number one landing spot, but surely now the chance of playing with LeBron and AD in a team that he is rebuilding, like Cleveland, again, it just has a massive impact. And if not, then even someone like Tobias Harris may be tempted to just go over to Hollywood. And I think he'd look a bit bad in here. I don't think Jimmy Butler suits yellow. I don't think he suits yellow. So, I don't think Jimmy Butler's going anywhere. Either way, a failure to retain either of those players would be massively detrimental to the Sixers' championship aspirations. But it's early days, we don't know how it's going to pan out, but with the injuries to Durant and Thompson, surely it only adds fuel to the fire. Only time will tell, but that is it for another episode of This Week in Philadelphia Sports. Let me know your comments on everything down below. If you want a super sexy Philly Sports Network hoodie, you can get that at the link in the description. From myself, Liam Jenkins, follow me on Twitter at Liam Jenkins PSN or at Philadelphia SN. Thank you for all of the support, it really does mean the world to me. I'll see you next time.